In today's video, we're going to run down some of the steps that you need to take if you make a ton of money in crypto, if you want to set up a family office and be successful over the long term. A lot of people have a significant allocation to digital assets right now that bought during the bear market. We've seen some price appreciation, and with the anticipation of some really material gains coming along, people taking profits and managing those assets over the long term, I wanted to run down some of the best practices and things you might be thinking about as that takes place. So you want to build a professional team around yourself, and you want to build it early. So that's going to require, maybe a tax attorney, other types of attorneys, legal, a CPA or tax advisor, as well as a wealth manager to make sure that your assets are protected and you have a solid foundation to safeguard your assets over the long term. And it's great to go ahead and start reaching out to these people now, even before you have 20, 50, $100 million worth of value or net worth. You can start these conversations with people, and the people that don't give you the time of day before you have the money are often the people that are also going to be beating down your door on the other side of you coming into the money and may not have your best intentions at heart. People that are willing to work with you early on and foster that relationship are in it for the long term, and likely, again, going to be a better part of your team than somebody that shows up later that just wants a check. So, and the more conversations that you have with these professionals, the better you're going to understand the lingo. Interviewing these people is what you're doing when you're having these conversations early on to make sure that they're going to be a good fit culturally with your family, with their alignment and values, their core values and what they want to accomplish, where they see themselves helping their clients over the long term. All these things are stuff that you want to ask when you're interviewing these professionals that you might be working with in the future. If they start telling you about quick ways to save money with, tax credits or things that seem too good to be true, or if they want to oversell themselves, just take all that with a grain of salt. They may or may not be the person you want to work with. But again, like the old adage says, anything that's too good to be true usually is. So if they're quick to tell you why they're better than everybody else or poo-poo their competitors, probably not the best person to be working with. You want people that are honest, that have integrity. They're going to tell you where they're deficient. If they don't have an expertise in a certain area, they're going to come clean about that, let you know up front, especially if you ask about it. So if you, talk to a wealth manager or a CPA or an accountant or, somebody else that's an attorney, and they, you say, have you dealt with crypto before? Have you dealt with digital assets? And they say, well, I have, but these are the circumstances, or I've been doing it for this many years, or these are the clients that I had, there's attorney-client privilege and things, but they can kind of give you a gist of who they've dealt with and how much, and, dance around the topic of who it was with specifically. But you want to know that they are competent and capable and have dealt with it in the past, especially when you're interviewing. So that's just one of the considerations. And again, I would encourage you to start that early before prices move up. But if it's on the other side of it, those are the people that you're going to want on your team. The next step, and I encourage people to do this, is just think about a financial committee. Again, some of these advisors that I just spoke about may sit on that financial committee, but you may have other people in your network of people that that you might trust, right? And they also might have certain competencies. They might be a previous investment banker. They might have very high qualifications from their financial background. I would say that that's probably something better to have. If it's on a financial committee, you get to set these standards, right? If you're setting up a family office. But I would set pretty high standards for people that sit on the financial committee and review and do due diligence on wherever you're going to be investing your money over the long term. The other piece of that is your family board council, and that's going to be made up of family members and maybe a few other strategic individuals in your network that could provide a lot of value and make sure that your interests or the family's interests stay top of mind with all these professionals over the long term. But one of the benefits here is, especially if you do come into a significant amount of wealth very quickly, is there may be some animosity between you, family members, friends that come knocking on your door asking for money. So if you have a financial committee that you've put in place, it could be 3 to 5 people that you trust to do due diligence on stuff, or might have specific expertise in real estate or M&A transactions or financial markets as a whole. you just tell the individual that comes to ask you for money, whether it's your friend or family member, whoever it is, sure, I would love to invest in whatever you have. If you could just put together a pro forma and some documents for due diligence, projections, financials, pitch deck, whatever else you have around this opportunity, I will make sure that it gets to, our financial committee and they can review it. And if it's something we're interested in investing in, if it's within the thesis of where we're putting capital, and it's within the parameters of how we're going to allocate that money, then we would love to make that allocation. Then you didn't say no, right? You gave them the opportunity to present their opportunity to your team and swing for it. Most of the time, they're just going to drop the ball right there. They're not even going to put it together. They're going to go on about their business. They may still hold a little resentment toward you, but at the end of the day, it wasn't you. You had a system and a process in place, and they didn't follow it, right? And then there's also going to be times where it is a really good opportunity, and they do have all that collateral, and it's passed to your team. They do due diligence, and it's awesome. And you do make the investment in, or the loan, or whatever it might be for the other party. But I think that's, I don't want to say imperative, but a really, really good strategy to mitigate any potential conflicts that you're going to have with friends and family as those things do crop up, and they will. If you've told friends and family about your position in digital assets and they do really well, it's likely that, some of them are going to show up asking for some things. And then you get into the estate planning. We talk a lot about that on the lives and other things that we do. Again, with the estate planners, there's a couple different considerations here. There's a lot of different strategies when it comes to this, and I would encourage you to meet with your estate planner and find somebody that wants to work with your specific situation and details. There's tons and tons of ways that you can structure it. There is no wrong way to set it up. I guess there are wrong ways to set it up depending on your constraints and how you want things to go. The three things that we look at when we're working to set something up for people is, do you want to maximize your lifestyle? Do you want to maximize your legacy? Or do you want to maximize your giving or philanthropy? And you kind of pick which one of those you're leaning toward. The overall, estate planning process may involve all three. But there's going to be one true North Star among those three that is your main focus and will guide how things are built out over the long term and where you start in that process. And that might be with a trust. It might be with an LLC. It might be with a foundation. It could be a charitable remainder trust. There's all kinds of things that you can do off the jump. We recommend that most people move their assets into an LLC first because they give you the most flexibility on the other side of price appreciation to go any direction, set up insurance policies, and get all of the breadth of the tax code to be able to offset any capital gains or profits that you might want to take. And so that's it. Those are just some of the main considerations that people have here in the short term. Just three things that you might want to start thinking about before your assets do appreciate in value. If you got value from this, please like, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.